Yeah, I think they thought it was just a hobby or like a phase, and it was just like it would go away. I was focused on it, but there was definitely times where I doubted that, oh, yeah, this is probably not going to turn into something full time. So I still got to make sure I go to college and just support them now. They see what it's turned into. So it's a beautiful thing to see them, support me now. So
Hey guys, before you tune into this episode, make sure you subscribe to Amplify Africa's YouTube channel so that you can be notified every time we drop a new episode. And then once you're done watching, please like the video and comment on who you want to see me interview next. Hello and welcome to Amplify Voices, where we highlight Black voices around the world that are making an impact within their respective industries. My name is Debbie Alambru and I'm your host. Today, I'm excited to be joined by the man behind the music, and it's not a VH1 special. He's an Ethiopian entrepreneur with an ear for discovering stars. A first-generation record label leader, bringing the culture to your eardrums. He went from the guy at the door to the man behind the curtains, proving that Henny-thing really is possible. Henny Yegezu, welcome to Amplified Voices. How are you?
what's up, Debbie? How you doing? That was a crazy intro. Thank you.
Well, thank you again for joining us. Now, Henny, jumping right into it, I'm curious to know, how old were you when you went to your first live concert, and who did you go to see?
Yeah, the first one I think I was like 17, and it was the Glow in the Dark tour. I maybe went to some like Disney on Ice stuff before that, but the first concert that like I went with friends and really had a good time. And I never forget it because it was Kanye West headlining, Rihanna opening, and this is like Rihanna's first album. So, and then NERD as well. So it was an insane lineup.
Wow, that is a dope lineup. Now,
Yeah,
what
it was
three
crazy.
songs influenced you the most as a child and why?
Mm. One of my first real times I remember like loving a hip hop record, especially just loving a song, was Bone Thugs and Harmony Crossroads. Like my cousins put me onto that song. I think that was like 94, 95. I was probably like 5 or 6, but I can like vividly remember like remembering all the lyrics and like watching that music video come on, back then the box and MTV like all the time. And I have like a lot of memories around that record, like really early ones.
What other music did your parents play? How much do you think that shaped you and your ear for music?
My dad especially was super into James Brown, still is. I remember him driving us to school early on, and he's playing James Brown, Curtis Mayfield, like Isaac Hayes, like that type of stuff. But a lot of like up tempo music, and then Ethiopian music too. I think it's funny. I don't really remember my mom playing a lot of English music. She usually would play Ethiopian music in the car, and I think tons of melody, really interesting instruments. I think that stuff totally shaped my ear for stuff that just feels a little bit different and left, and that's what I kind of heard around the house growing up.
Now, if you could be any artist, dead or alive, for a day, who would it be and why?
I'll actually say Pharrell on this one. Just the way that he's been able to span different decades is just crazy, like crazy. He's really shaped like the way music sounds now.
I often joke about African parents only wanting their children to become doctors, lawyers, and engineers, but in truth, that is how they think. So what was your parents' reaction to you pursuing a career in the music business?
Yeah, I think they thought it was just a hobby or like a phase, and it would just like it would go away. So even for me, it did feel like this dream. And I was focused on it, but there was definitely times where I doubted that, oh, yeah, this is probably not going to turn into something full time. So I still got to make sure I go to college. And especially as a first generation African kid, I don't think we get raised to have like only plan A's, right? Yeah, but they're supportive now. They see what it's turned into. So it's a beautiful thing to see them support me now. So
Now, what was your first job in the industry?
I was always a huge fan of music, but when I got into college, I sort of had this like, all right, cool, the pipe dream is over. Let me wake up and like just focus on school. So that drew me back in and just put me around music. But this time it put me more around the business side of things, seeing them have their own recording studio, seeing them bring artists in town for club walkthroughs and gigs. And it just kind of put me in that environment.
So did you have a rap name?
Yeah, actually, in high school, they called me Henny. Yeah.
Now, in 2015, you co-founded EQT, which is a full-service music company that includes management, publishing, recording, and distribution. Talk to me a little bit about how that came to be.
Some managers skill set is like managing the business, having great relationships. Some managers' skill set is developing and really being an A&R and being in the room early and connecting them with producers. And, even though I came from the promotion side, that having a studio in DC, because I had a studio in the same building as my office for my promotion company, I really started to develop that skill and just being someone that was around music early on too. And then my partner had like more of a marketing and PR brain. He was a publicist for years. It was kind of like the perfect marriage, like I was live in studio and he was like marketing and PR and sort of like label relations. So, and it just felt like a natural transition from being managers that started to see success and then evolving into a record label.
What was the hardest part of that process and just being taken seriously in the music industry?
Just believing in what you're doing and like, keeping your head down and, you comparison, like what's that saying? Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
You could look at your peers or certain people that are like, you have relationships with that are having like huge success, but you got to focus on what success looks like for your artist, right? And what success looks like for the space that you're operating in. Over the last few years, has definitely been challenging, but like, I'm only better for it. So it's been great.
A lot of label executives are looking to sign superstars, but that's not the reality, right? It takes, like you mentioned, a lot of hard work to develop someone into a star. So what do you look for in an artist when you're considering whether to sign them? Like, what's the secret sauce that you need to see?
It starts and ends with the music. The artist has to have the vision. Me and my partner are strong on believing like we're following the artist's vision. We're not creating their vision. We're probably the people that understand their vision better than anyone else and then help amplify it, right? So artists with a real distinct vision that know what they want for themselves. And that's musically, visually, their taste, how they sort of look at the world, how they look at music, all that stuff is super important for someone that actually has sort of like the internal tools to become a star, right? And become the biggest version of themselves. That's important to us.
Now, EQT has a really dope roster of artists, and many of them represent the diaspora. So just looking at a couple, you have Masego, who's Jamaican. His name is the South African word for blessing, and he recently toured Africa. Then you have Barhana, who's a first-generation Ethiopian, and just last year documented his visit to the country for the first time, where he was able to connect with Ethiopian music legend, Dr. Mulatu Astatka, which is huge. Now, why is it important to you that your label represents and values the diaspora?
It's not a coincidence that you're seeing so many first generation kids enter music, right? There's, Amine, obviously The Weeknd, and Mariba, and, all the Nigerian artists that are killing it in rap right now, I feel like they need a support system and a place that understands like that part of their story is super important. Like really it's changed a lot. Now, like our culture is getting embraced. Immigrant culture is getting embraced. You're seeing it left and right on social media. Seeing that and being able to tell that story through the music is just super exciting, I think.
So you've been in this industry for over a decade and have gone from buying tapes as a kid, CDs as a young adult, and then now we have all of these digital platforms. How do you think that streaming has affected people's accessibility to artists, and is streaming a good thing for artists or not?
The amount of music that's coming out every day on Spotify and Apple and just in general is a little bit overwhelming. I think it's creating such a flood of new music, new content. It is harder for like the right stuff to float to the top. On the flip side, it really democratized the ability to get your music out there and to find an audience. And you might have to work a little bit harder once the song is out there than you did a few years ago, but like it does at least give you a platform and access. Another big thing too is that it creates more of a middle class for artists. Now it's like you're getting paid every single time somebody listens. Yeah, it might not be much money at all, but it does add up. The way streaming is going to affect music 20 years from now really looks like super, super positive.
Now, what has been the biggest blessing and curse of quarantine for you?
The biggest blessing is definitely being able to like sit still, for the most part. It causes you to travel. Even if I wasn't going to festivals, and I haven't been like tour managing or on the road for a long time, but I still would like make sure I'm popping into all my artists' biggest shows or maybe doing like a whole leg with them. So to be able to like sit down, not have to worry about that, get your thoughts together. It's been cool.
Okay, and the biggest curse?
So I guess touring going away. You kind of take that for granted. That's a big way that we've been able to develop all of our bigger artists is through touring. And though they kind of missed that moment, not that it's going to completely go away, but there's like 18 months of them not being able to figure out where their fans are and create that energy. And even for the the bigger artists too, you missed that whole cycle of making money. And, that's definitely been a curse.
Yeah, man, I miss live shows. I cannot wait until things are back to normal. The industry is not easy to break into at all. So, have there ever been times where you felt like quitting? And if so, what kept you going?
I want to say no, but there's definitely been, there's definitely hard times, but there's no real reason to quit, right? Like there's not necessarily a bunch of stuff you can fall back on, but you can always move forward because you had it better than they had it, right? So, I think I always kind of keep that in the back of my mind. And if you love what you do, it doesn't really feel like work. So you almost are just doing it so naturally that it doesn't you just continue to move forward, without really second thoughts.
Now, in 2018, you made a really impressive and one of a kind deal that allowed you to work with any label within Universal Music Group and still operate independently. Some people would just be content to get any deal, and some would, quite frankly, be too afraid to ask for more. So, why was freedom and flexibility so important to you?
There's no one size fits all blueprint on how an artist breaks. So like if anyone tells you like, oh, this is how you should do it, it's not cookie cutter, right? So
Yeah.
and it's about what works for you, like that's not what another executive or manager or artist needs, but that's what, worked well for us.
Can you share 3 tips on building a top tier management team?
First is about the relationship, making sure that you guys are really in sync creatively. And I think that's a big part of the relationship, that you guys understand, what your vision is, what your end goals are, being in sync and having a strong relationship where you guys can argue and fight and still kind of get to the next milestone, right? That comes
Yeah.
first. Experience is definitely the best teacher, like someone that understands, at least if the things that they don't know, they're willing to take the time to go find out and say, I don't know that. Like that's totally cool. And that's important to have that. So I think as long as you keep those few things in mind, you should be able to build a good team.
Okay, that's dope. So,
Yeah.
relationship, got to make sure you're on the same wavelength, same vision,
Mhm.
organization, so you can just juggle everything that you got to juggle. And
Yeah.
then relationship. A lot of people have started their own record label, but not many are actually successful at it. So, what is it that you've done to ensure your success?
It's really about, it's like a compass, right? Like the art and the music for the space that you're in as well as anybody, and you're focused on the thing that sort of drives your passion and what you're really excited about. You wouldn't get into the business unless you love music. So make sure you're like following that compass, and your passion for music, while taking all the relatability of like the different businesses maybe that you've been across or different mentors have been across, and taking all that information in and applying it to your creative compass. I think it's super important.
Now, Henny, with running a label and leading a management team, I know that you wear many hats. So, what does an average day for you look like?
Get up as early as I can, 6, 7 a.m., try to get a workout in. Hopefully that happens. Usually sometimes it doesn't. Go to the next, get on like sort of like that first call, check in with my team, do it again. So, it's kind of a continuous cycle.
What does it take to be defined as a music mogul?
Being a music mogul, I feel like it's really identifying that music moves culture, and the music that you're a part of moves culture, and understanding how to build businesses and monetize around that culture. That's what really makes a great mogul. It's like that strategy of how, and you're not going to win all the time, and you're totally cool to fail and keep going, and being able to develop uh, wins whenever you can around your artists and around your businesses, taking that to the next level.
Okay, so what do you want your legacy to be?
I would love to, have a EQT documentary one time, and you get 30 years from now, and you go through sort of like, how us, as a team and with our artists, like really shaped sort of the sound that music was going in. I think that to me is I would love for that to be a big part of my legacy.
Wow, I love that. All right, now it's time for my favorite part of the show where I get to play a game with my guest. And today, Henny and I will be playing over or under. Now, it's simple. I'll ask a question that includes a number. And Henny, you have to tell me whether your answer is over or under that number. Okay? Over or under, you will retire by the age of 50.
Probably over.
Over?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Over or under, you get 6 hours of sleep on average per night.
Yeah, that's a tough one because I try to get over, but let's say under.
Okay, that's the same as me. Over or
Yeah.
under, you stream 5 hours of music a day.
Say over.
Over or under, you work 40 hours a week.
Over, definitely.
Over or under, you have 2 cups of coffee a day.
I probably had 2 cups of coffee a day. Is that, can I say equal?
Yeah, that's fine. Or under, pre-COVID, you would go to 10 live shows in a month.
Over. Say over. Yeah.
Okay. Over or under, you take 15 calls a day.
I will say over.
Okay. Over or under, you're currently binging 2 TV shows.
I don't even know what I'm watching right now.
Okay. Over or under, you eat injera once a week.
I wish it was over, but it's under.
Okay.
If I'm at home, I'm eating injera, but in LA, nah.
Okay, that's fair. And to anyone that doesn't know, injera is Ethiopian food. And if you haven't tried it, then you need to try it. Over or under, you talk to your parents 4 times a week.
I wish that was another one that was over too, but it's probably under. Probably like once or twice a week. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Well, Henny, thank you so much for joining Amplified Voices. That's all we have time for today. But I wish you the best of luck with EQT, and I will definitely be watching out for that documentary in the years to come.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it, Debbie. Yeah, and appreciate the Amplify Africa fam. Always doing dope stuff. Always down to support. So thanks for this interview. Appreciate it.
My injera of the week is allow yourself to dream big. With courage and conviction, you can make anything happen for yourself. Do not be afraid to take up space in any industry because you deserve a seat at the table. And you know what? It's not easy, but you can always build yourself a whole new table. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe so you can be notified every time a new episode drops. Like this video and comment down below and let us know what your favorite part of the interview was and who you want to see us interview next. Thank you. See you guys next time.